Hey there. Let's dive into the latest buzz from the financial world, shall we? Welcome to Whiteboard Invest, your #1 go-to source for clear and concise investing knowledge explanation and news updating daily. Hey there. Let's quickly dive into this week's hot topics. Just a few days ago, Bitcoin had its big halving event. It's like a birthday for Bitcoin, but instead of getting more presents, miners get half the rewards they used to. Since then, Bitcoin's transaction fees have skyrocketed. Imagine paying $100 just to send a small amount of Bitcoin. That's the post-halving world for you. We're keeping an eye on the market's pulse. It's been a roller coaster, but we've got some cool insights to share, especially about a demo account that's been doing some interesting moves. And get this, we've got a throwback clip of Peter Schiff from 2013. The guy wasn't a fan of Bitcoin, but his words from back then might just surprise you today. That's the scoop in a nutshell. Bitcoin's halving has stirred the pot, fees are up, and the market's buzzing. So, we're kicking off a new week, and I hope you've recharged over the weekend because we've got some economic action coming up. Then, fast forward to Friday, we've got the PCE inflation index making headlines. It's like the monthly checkup for the economy's price tag on goods and services. The core PCE, which kind of gives us the excluding food and energy angle, is expected to tick down a notch to 2.7% from 2.8%. It's like the economy saying, I'm growing, but let's keep calm and carry on. Now here's where it gets juicy. All this number crunching is the pre-game show for the big Fed meeting next week. And guess what? The Fed folks are in their quiet period, or blackout, which means no chit-chat with the public until they've hashed it all out. It's like everyone's holding their breath to see if the Fed will cut interest rates, especially with inflation not playing as nice as we'd hoped. Some are betting we might see a rate cut by late summer, but others are like, nah, not happening this year. It's all up in the air, really. We've still got 8 months left in the year, so if inflation decides to chill out, the Fed might just give us that rate cut after all. And why's the Fed chair, good old John Paw, keen on trimming rates? Well, he's got his eye on the ball, watching out for any signs of a financial slump, especially with all the political drama and trade wars stirring the pot. So let's sit tight and see what unfolds in the next couple of weeks. If the PCE index throws us a curveball, that Fed meeting is going to be one heck of a show. Stay tuned. Let's chat about Bitcoin's roller coaster ride post-halving and take a stroll down memory lane with the previous halvings. So grab your virtual seatbelt because here we go. This weekend Bitcoin's been on a bit of a climb. After the halving, it jumped from about $63,900 to just shy of $65,000. Right now it's sitting pretty at $66,300. And guess what? We didn't even see a hiccup in the price after the halving. It's been smooth sailing. Now, let's talk history. The past halvings, 2012, 2016, and that wild card 2020, they all had their own flavor. In 2012, Bitcoin was like a rocket pre-halving, shooting up in price. 2016 followed suit with a nice price hike before the big event. But 2020, oh boy, that was a different beast. Remember the pandemic? It hit in March and everything tanked. But Bitcoin, it bounced back like a champ. Here's the kicker. After the 2012 halving, Bitcoin played it cool, cruising sideways for a bit before it decided to skyrocket to over $1,000 by November 2013. Fast forward to 2016, and it's a similar story. A little post-halving dance, then boom, up it went, hitting nearly $2,000 by the end of 2017. But 2020, that's when things got really interesting. We had a pre-halving deep thanks to COVID, then a surge with all the stimulus packages, and the Fed slashing rates to near zero. It was like an economic defibrillator that shocked Bitcoin back to life. So, what's the deal with this year's halving? Will we see a repeat of the past, with a 6 to 8 month lag before prices soar? History says maybe, but here's the thing. Bitcoin doesn't play by the rules. It hit a new high even before this halving. So, who knows? We might be on the brink of a brand new chapter in Bitcoin's saga. and that's the buzz around Bitcoin's halving history and its price antics. It's a wild world in the crypto universe, and after a halving, things tend to get even more exciting. Into the world of Bitcoin fees and what's been happening since the big halving event. So, picture this. You're trying to send some Bitcoin, right? Just last week, you could have done it for about $10 and some change if you wanted it done in 10 minutes. But then, bam! The halving hits, and now we're talking fees that have shot up to $80, $90, or even a whopping $200. Now, you might be wondering why some folks are paying an arm and a leg. I'm talking 1, 2, or even 10 Bitcoins, just to get their transactions through. Well, it's not just about getting ahead in line. Some of these big spenders are looking to make a statement, to etch their names in the blockchain on the very block that marks the halving. Kind of like carving your initials on a tree on a significant date. And here's the thing. Even though the halving moment has passed, the fees are still sky high. It's like the network is still buzzing from all that halving hype, and the cost to jump on the blockchain bandwagon hasn't come down just yet. So, if you're looking to move your Bitcoin, be prepared to shell out a bit more than usual, at least for now. It's the new normal in the post-halving world where every transaction is a bit more precious and pricey. About the Bitcoin network and this new Runes protocol that's shaking things up. So, this Runes thing is pretty cool. It lets people create tokens right on the Bitcoin blockchain. But here's the catch. When it kicked off, it was like everyone rushed to the Bitcoin party at once, and the network got super crowded. For a couple of days, it was like being stuck in traffic. You could still get your Bitcoin transaction through, but you had to pay a premium like dropping over $10 just to get in the fast lane. And if you weren't in a hurry, you'd be waiting a long, long time. Now, some folks really wanted to be part of that historic block, the one marking the halving. They were willing to pay through the nose with fees hitting $80, $90, or even $200. We're talking big spender territory, with some paying a whole Bitcoin or more just for the privilege. But here's the good news. Things are starting to cool off. Fees are coming down, and now you can get your transaction confirmed in about 10 minutes for less than $13. If you're not in a rush, you can wait it out, and fees will probably drop to just a few bucks. Oh, and if you're looking to keep an eye on fees, there's this website. Just Google Privacy Pros Bitcoin fee, and you'll find what you need. It'll tell you how much you'd need to pay for a speedy transaction, or you can wait it out and save some coin. About Peter Schiff and his take on Bitcoin, especially during the whole halving hoopla. Peter's the gold guy, right? He's been all about gold since forever, and isn't shy about his not-so-warm feelings towards Bitcoin. He's been throwing some shade at Bitcoin since the early days, way back in 2010. Now, when Bitcoin halving rolled around, Peter was out there on Twitter. Poking fun at the Bitcoin crowd, he was like, "Hey, why didn't I get an invite to your Bitcoin halving party?" And he couldn't resist a little jab, saying that halving makes sense because he thinks the price of Bitcoin is going to take a dive, cutting in half just like the mining rewards. But here's the twist. There's this old video from 2013, and guess who's talking up Bitcoin? Yep, Peter Schiff. In the video, he's actually acknowledging Bitcoin's perks, like its limited supply and how it's even got some advantages over gold because you can zip it across the internet. So, what's the deal with Peter? Is he a Bitcoin hater, or is he just having a bit of fun trolling? It's hard to tell. But one thing's for sure, he's been part of the Bitcoin conversation for a long time. And he's not afraid to stir the pot, especially when it comes to Bitcoin's big moments. So, you've got Bitcoin, right? It's like the internet's version of gold, a digital treasure that you've got to mine with some serious computer power. Just like the real deal, mining Bitcoin means you're spending actual energy and cash to get it out of the digital rocks. Now, just like gold, there's only so much Bitcoin to go around. 21 million of them, to be exact. We've dug up about 11 million so far, and getting the rest out is going to cost a pretty penny. But here's where Bitcoin gets really shiny. You can break it down into tiny bits for everyday spending. Kind of like chopping up a gold bar into smaller pieces you can actually use. But unlike gold, you can send Bitcoin flying across the internet in a flash. No armored trucks needed. And you don't have to worry about someone swiping it from under your mattress because it's all tucked away in cyberspace. No need to pay for a vault or a guard dog. Now let's talk about Peter Schiff. The guy's a gold bug, always has been. But get this, back in 2013 he was actually talking up Bitcoin, saying it's got all these perks over gold. Fast forward to the Bitcoin halving, and he's out there on Twitter, throwing shade, wondering why he didn't get an invite to the Bitcoin party and joking that the price is going to halve just like the mining rewards. But then there's this old video where he's all about Bitcoin's value, which is kind of funny considering how much he disses it now. Makes you wonder, right? Is he really anti-Bitcoin, or is he just messing with us? Some folks even think he might be sitting on a pile of Bitcoin himself since 2013. Who knows, but one thing's for sure. In the Bitcoin world, always watch what people do, not just what they say. So, Bitcoin's market cap has settled back at $244 trillion. Not much change from yesterday, right? We're seeing a bit of a bounce back for various altcoins, but if we're honest, today's mostly painted in red with a few exceptions. For instance, Coinbonk has shot up by 10.7%, and once again, we're seeing those meme coins making moves with a 6.9% increase. Pepe's up by 4.5%. And then there's Core, which has jumped a whopping 16.4%, and Neo's not far behind with a 6.6% rise. But aside from these few, the majority are in the red, as you can see on the screen. So, here's the scoop. The U.S. House just passed some bills, right? We're talking big bucks for international support. $60 billion for Ukraine, $26 billion for Israel, and $8 billion for Taiwan. But here's the kicker. All this cash is adding to an already mountain-high national debt, now chilling at $34.6 trillion. And with all this spending, you gotta wonder, where's the money coming from? Well, it's like this. The government sells bonds to cover the budget shortfall. But selling bonds means more debt and paying interest on that debt. Last year, just the interest was a cool $1 trillion. Ouch. Now, with all these new bills, we're just digging deeper into our pockets. And it's not just the U.S. China and Japan are in the same boat, with their own hefty debts. Bottom line, governments might have to keep the interest rates low to keep borrowing and keep the wheels turning. It's a cycle, you know. But hey, remember, this is all just through the House. It's still got to pass the Senate and get the president's signature to become law. So, let's wait and see what happens next. By the way, the U.S. House is eyeing some Russian assets, thinking about grabbing a few $1 billion worth and handing them over to Ukraine to help rebuild the place. Now, opinions on this are all over the map, but let's focus on the asset part. Imagine you've got gold. It's solid, right? But if it's sitting in another country, it could get frozen, just like Russia's gold did. Enter Bitcoin. It's like digital gold that no one can touch. It can't be frozen or seized. Some folks might not see the big deal with Bitcoin, but it's actually a pretty nifty way to keep your assets safe and sound, and it's got its own path, totally separate from stocks or real estate. It's all about having something of value that's totally under your radar and can zip across borders without a hitch. So, last week was kind of like a financial roller coaster, right? But come to Friday, things started looking up. We saw a bit of green with a cool $60 million flowing in. It's like the market took a deep breath after being underwater for a while. The big sell-off that had us all biting our nails? That was mostly thanks to this heavyweight called Grayscale. But guess what? Their grip is loosening and the sell-off frenzy is chilling out. Let's talk about the latest buzz in the crypto ETF space. Grayscale's rolling out a new product called the Bitcoin Mini Trust with a super low fee of 0.1%. It's a big deal because it's the lowest fee among all Bitcoin spot ETFs. They're planning to shift 10% of the assets from their GBTC fund to this new mini fund. Now, you might be wondering, why all the hassle? Why not just slash the fees on their existing fund? Well, it's not that simple. Some clients are locked into contracts, so they can't just jump ship, even if they wanted to. Plus, a lot of these clients have been sitting on profits since 2014. We're talking big gains. If they were to sell now and move to a lower fee fund, the tax hit would eat up most of the savings from the lower fees. So, Rayscale's strategy is to keep those funds in GBTC, where they can charge higher fees, knowing full well that not everyone's willing to take the tax hit to switch. But for those who are sensitive to the higher fees, the Bitcoin Mini Trust is now an option. And why 10%? Maybe that's their estimate of how much will actually make the move. This move could not only stem the daily outflows from GBTC, but also attract new investors to Rayscale through the Bitcoin Mini Trust. And they've got the ticker BTC for it, which they snagged a while back, probably anticipating this move. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out, but when the Bitcoin Mini Trust gets going, hopefully, we'll see those outflows turn into inflows.
Alright, that's hottest news today. If you guys did find this video helpful, leave a like and subscribe our channel for more free content. Thanks for watching. Peace out.